1, 2, 3. Boo! Happy Halloween, YouTube! I bet you're surprised to see this review so early. Think the end for that. Like the main character's father, it gripped me by the neck and refused to let go. Is that gripping and good? Now, onto the plot. Basically, it follows the main character Jasper Dent, who goes by the name Jas. He is the son of the most infamous serial killer in his story universe, Barry Dent. When a copycat serial killer strikes his town, recreating his father's murders, he begins to help the police through his own investigation to help catch the arsonists and end his reign of terror. So, now that you know a bit about the story, let's move on to the characters. Jasper was raised to be a serial killer by his father. By the time when he was 9, he was taught how to dissolve a body, but when he was 11, he was taught how to duplicate keys, so they could break into people's houses, basically. So yeah, to say he didn't have a normal childhood would be an understatement. To say he was a child full of a lot of messed up stuff that a young child probably should never be exposed to at that age would be an accurate statement of fact. But throughout the story, he fears himself because he's afraid that the 13 years he spent being raised by his father may have spread evil to his being. He constantly hears his father's voice in his head, like giving him like serial killer advice, like how to solve a body and stuff like that. He was so afraid of this that when he was afraid to save someone's life because that would mean getting contact with the victim, and getting contact with the victim could lead to him strangling the girl. He's also a very manipulative person, having learned how to manipulate people from, guess who? Barry Dent. Basically, he manipulated a social worker into letting him live with his grandmother for a year or so. She wanted to get him out of that environment because his grandmother was becoming senile and emotionally abusive towards him. But he figured he was 17, he had a year left, so why not just stay? And he also manipulated his own girlfriend into helping with the investigation against all better reasoning. And trust me, manipulating that girl or something doesn't sound easy. So, yeah, he's a master of manipulation. He knows just what to do to manipulate someone. But he's also very loyal to his friends. Like, when his friends, Howie's life was at risk, he actually threatened the ambulance workers to give him the medical treatment he needed because they were uncertain about what he was telling them at first. And he also has a close relationship with his girlfriend too, and would do anything for her. So, yeah. And the fact that he was even worried about giving into killer instincts says he's not a bad person through and through. If you're really like this horrible bad seed from a bad apple tree, then why would he even worry about it? I don't think psychopaths worry about the fact that if they're going to kill someone, that they might kill someone. They wouldn't have the capacity to care about it, and he cares. So, yeah. He's so worried about this that one of the main reasons he goes to help the police in the first place was because Anna quotes. Let me get the quote real quick. Here's a quote. If I catch killers, then maybe that means I'm not a killer. he was so scared of himself he thought that this could prove that he wasn't a killer. And so yeah, he was a good character. You really felt sorry for him because of because it was his father's fault that he was even thinking these thoughts in the first place. So yeah, moving on to the next character, G. Williams. G. Williams is the sheriff's deputy who arrested Billy Dent in the first place. He stayed in contact with Jasper because he felt sorry for arresting his dad, even though Jasper knew that it was for the best and that he was really doing a service to not only Jasper but to the community at large. But anyway, he's used in the story to kind of allow for extradition dumps about the cases, a bit like who the victims are, what was done to them, how was the bodies reposed, stuff like that. He's basically the typical stern but kind sheriff in a small town. Next characters are Howie and his girlfriend Connie. Howie it's Connie's Jazz's girlfriend, not Howie's. Howie is a loyal friend to Jazz, even sticking by Jazz when Billy's reign of terror became exposed. He's a hemophiliac, hence why he needs special medicine when the brother killer slashed him, because he could bleed out by a pinprick. And Connie is fierce and loyal to her boyfriend. Jazz viewed Connie as kind of a lifeline to humanity and a good source of stability in his life. He loved her and would do anything for her. And yeah. She also helped him snap himself out of his pity party. So yeah. They are good friends throughout the story to him, and there's not much more to say about them. And next are the characters who Jazz suspects to be the impressionist. Deputy Erickson and Doug Weathers. Doug Weathers was a reporter who reported on the initial news that Jazz's father was a serial killer, and he got addicted to the media attention like an addict to heroin. Jazz suspects him of being a killer because he theorizes that if he is an impressionist, he's killing so he can report on it, thus bringing all the reporting back to local Nod and bringing him front and center in the news yet again. And Deputy Erickson was studied the transfer from the town where the first victim was murdered. So, yeah, that's why he suspects them. I'm not going to tell you which one's right, if any. You just gotta read the book. And next is Billy Dent, Jazz's father. He's basically scarier than any Halloween baddie you can think of. He's narcissistic, viewing himself and his son above other people. Like, because apparently becoming a serial killer suddenly makes you a god and means you can have a right to kill people without consequences. In the beginning, he's in jail in the beginning of the story, so we don't really see him till near the end. But when we do see him, he's disrespect, arrogant, narcissistic, calculating, cruel, indifferent to the fact that he took the lives of over 100 people. 123 is the official count. So, yeah, if you do not have an idea of how bad this guy was, when Jasper was only 8 years old, he killed his puppy in front of him slowly to the point of, well, what's good is crying. It's not going to bring your dog back to life. Doesn't that sound just lovely? Doesn't that sound like such a lovely thing to do to someone? No? Congratulations, you're officially not Michael Myers then. And now we're moving on to the themes. Like in the book The Madman's Daughter, a theme of this book is confronting your past, and just because you come from a rotten tree doesn't mean you're a bad apple. If you're basically like Juliet from The Madman's Daughter, their dads were not good people. Now, a mad scientist and a serial killer may be different, but creating abominations in nature and killing people are both bad things to do. And it affects both their kids' lives. Jasper lost friends at school because of what his dad did. And some people looked at him like he was going to be a, quote, Billy Dent the sequel. Someone even sent death threats to him at one point. And Juliet in The Madman's Daughter was shunned by her society because of what her dad did and forced into poverty. If you're wondering which book handles the theme of confronting your past better, it would be I Hunt Killers. It brings it up more often. With The Madman's Daughter, there's only a few incidents where any madness inside of Juliet was even mentioned. It's where Jack's affairs are mentioned throughout the book. Like I say, he was scared to save someone's life because he was afraid he would end up killing them. He was afraid he was going to kill someone because of all this. And with Juliet, there were a few incidents where she thought of herself as mad, but other than that, it wasn't brought up a lot. In this book, it's more common. I don't know if I'm repeating myself now, but yeah. And for the theme of you, just because you came from a bad tree doesn't mean you're a rotten apple. The I Hunt Killers, it won. Again, it's mentioned more in I Hunt Killers. The Madman's Daughter is still a good book, and I still heavily recommend that book. It's the quintessential mad scientist story, and I still recommend it. But if you were to be honest and ask which one handled the same thing better, I would say I Hunt Killers. Just by virtue of how often it's mentioned. So, yeah. With that ramble out of the way, time to go into the mystery. The mystery was handled very nicely, and it did have a good payoff. I'm not going to say it here because read the book. I'm not going to spoil a good book for you. It would have to be a horrible book for me to spoil it for you. But to say the least, the mystery was handled well. The characters were all great, and the story pacing was good, and everything was great. The only issue I have, I'm going to bring it up in the next section, the closing statement. So, yeah. time to get into closing statement. I highly recommend this book. It was a great read. I heavily enjoyed it. And yeah, the characters were great. The only issue I have with the book that I can think of right now is when Jazz brings Howie to warn a potential next victim about the fact that she's a potential next victim. Howie gets slashed by the killer on his way out. Luckily, he doesn't die, but considering he's a hemophiliac, someone who bleeds by the slightest touch, that could have killed him. And Jazz never gets lectured about this by anybody, not Howie's parents, not G. William, even though he never hesitated to scold Jazz earlier in the book. And just, it's never, he's never gets scolded about it. I would just appreciate a little, what were you thinking? You could have gotten your friend killed, or something like that. But that's a minor problem. That's an overall good overall good book. So yeah, I give this book 5 7 fingers out of 5, and read the book to get that reference. Okay. So happy Halloween and see ya.